Hey guys, today we're taking a look at the Holosun EPS. Let's get right into the first 30-second breakdown. That's where in the first 30 seconds, give or take, I give you guys my exact thoughts on this product before we get into the full review. That way you can just stop watching because now you know exactly what I say about this product, or you can continue watching, find out why I say those things in more detail, and it does help out with the YouTube algorithm. So with the EPS, this is the new line that Holosun just came out with, EPS and the EPS Carry. The EPS Carry is a smaller version of this that fits really flush with like single stacks or your smaller guns like this. The EPS is in the middle of the 509 and the EPS Carry, and then you got your 509. So those three kind of all really compare with each other. This is a closed emitter, which is something that I really like and is something I am pushing more towards with all my concealed carry or duty style weapons, just because of the fact that the emitter is inside. There's no way for anything to get in, like debris, to block that emitter, so you have an enclosed and much better, more durable system. It has a side tray here for the battery, so you do not have to remove the optic from the gun every time you want to replace the battery, which is nice because now you don't have to re-sight in and zero your gun and optic every time you replace it. It does have 50,000 hours of battery life, so you don't have to replace it a ton. That is a lot of hours, and it does have an auto off feature. You have 12 brightness settings. The reticles are green and red. You have a 2, a 6, and a dot and circle for your reticles, so you have multiple different options to choose from. You can go with a solar panel on top or not. Mine does not have one, and it saves you about $70 to $100 depending if you go with it or not. So there are a lot of different options for this optic depending what you want. The price ranges from $330 to about $450, so you're able to really make a decision what kind you want, if you want to go a little bit cheaper or you want all the features and go with the more expensive one. So there is some different options to choose from. You have an aluminum housing, and it has the 407K and 507K footprint. So the footprint is basically the same that we already have for this styled optic, which is nice because you don't have to now order a bunch of new things. And this actually comes with its own adapter plate, which is a nice little feature from Holosun. So all in all, I'm really happy with this optic. It's very comparable to your 509, which is an optic that I am very familiar and very happy with. Probably one of my favorite that I have on any of my handguns. So this is something that I expect to perform really, really well and has performed really well so far. Now let's get into my relationship with Holosun. They did send this to me early, pre-release, so I could do some testing, which was nice because I was able to get this video a lot earlier for you guys to help you make a better purchase decision, so I appreciate them for doing that. The plate system in here that I used is not the one they sent because that mounts to like an RMR footprint. This mounts to the Hellcat. That's what I wanted this on, and this is from CHPWS, so you're able to order those plates. This is a filler plate to be able to mount this onto the Hellcat, which I think is a nice little fit and does a really good concealed carry gun. So now let's get into the full review and go over why I say all those things and go into a lot more detail. So like I said, this really compares to the 509T. If you guys have not seen my fascination and love with the 509, I have, I think, 5 of them now, and it is a fantastic optic. It's probably my favorite handgun optic out there as of today's date. There's always something coming out new, so I can't say that if you're watching this video from a year from now, it's still my favorite, but as of right now, it's my favorite handgun optic because of all of its features, the durability, how it works, really like it, and I really see a lot of those features in this EPS. I think Holosun did a really good thing when they made these, and the fact that they made different sizes. So you got the 509, I'll show you some B-roll here, which is the larger one, then you have the EPS, and then you have the EPS Carry, which is smaller, that fits this style of gun, the Hellcat, a little bit better. Now I'm going to be testing the EPS Carry next, and that is probably going to replace this on this gun, and I'll probably put this on a little bit of a larger gun just because it sticks over the edge just a little bit. That's just because this is meant for a little bit larger of a gun, but it can still be used for these guns, and the reason I like it on this is because it gives me that larger field of view. So if you're like me and like to have a little bit larger field of view opposed to the smaller like EPS Carry, this might be the route you want to go. So the closed emitter is going to be one of the nicest features about this optic. I think this is really what you're going to see the future. In the next 5 years, I really think a lot of people are going to be changing to these closed emitters. I think we're going to look back and be like, I can't believe we actually ran open emitters on things, especially handguns and concealed carry guns and things you put into your waistband and dirt and debris and things get into that and could potentially get into that emitter. With the closed emitter, you don't have to worry about that because you have 2 windows opposed to just one. You don't have that emitter with a LED shooting out available for something to get into. But I would rather completely eliminate that from ever happening by having the enclosed system like this. So I really think this is the future, and a lot of people are going to be switching to this. Another pro with this optic is going to be the side battery tray. I think this is what a lot of people are switching to just because it's annoying to have to take your optic off and re-zero it every time you want to replace the battery. It's really easy just to unscrew this, pull the tray out, and get your new battery in. This uses a CR1620 battery and it gives you 50,000 hours of battery life. So you shouldn't really have to worry about replacing your battery. You can leave this on pretty much continually with no issues. It does have an auto off feature. So if you leave it for a long period of time, it is going to turn off on its own. So it saves that battery as well. But if you also have the backup for the solar panel, you have that as a fail safe. This one does not have it. I do not think it's an absolute necessity, especially with 50,000 hours of battery life. I think it's nice to have if you have the extra money. I would recommend why not spend it and have that extra feature, but it is not an absolute must, especially when you have that much battery life. Now, another pro is the amount of different options you have with this. Like I said, you have a 2 MOA, a 6 MOA, and the 2 MOA with the 35 MOA circle around it. So you have 3 different reticle options in 2 different colors. So technically you have 6 different options for your reticle. And then on top of that, you have a solar panel or a non-solar panel. So that really ranges the price from about $330 to about $450. So anywhere in between there, depending on the options you choose. So that allows you, if you're like, I really want this optic, I just don't quite have $450, but I want one of these, you can go with a cheaper one and go with that and at least have the optic. Or if you're like, I want all the goodies and everything I can get on this with the green dot and everything, you can go with the more expensive option. I like companies that do that to allow people to make that choice depending on what they want. Because some people just don't necessarily need the solar panel. So why would you want to spend the extra $70 to $100 if you don't need it or really want it? And it's nice that they removed it for those of you that don't. So now let's talk about something that I think is important, that is the footprint. So what I would really like to see optic companies do is just come together and choose one optic footprint that everybody can agree on and say is the best. And that way that would eliminate the plate systems and the different cuts and trying to figure out what screws and mounting system you need to go with, because that is really frustrating and a completely different headache when it comes to actually getting your optic onto a gun. So, but this one does come with a 407K. So if you already have that style, you're just gonna stay with the same, which is nice. They didn't change it just because they changed optic styles. They didn't change the footprint completely. They just went with the same thing that the 407K and the 507K does. So if you want to replace your open emitter with a closed emitter, you have the exact same footprint. You can just pull that one off and put this one on. So I'm glad that they did that. Next, you have an aluminum housing. So it is a durable optic. I've had no issues durability wise, and I don't really think I will because, like I said, I've tested the 509T very heavily and I've not had any issues with that one. So I don't see any problems being the same with this one. Another nice pro that helps you save a little bit more money and maybe mount this a little bit quicker is Holosun actually sends a mounting plate with this. So if you're gonna be mounting this to an RMR footprint, you have that plate already available to you in the package. So that was really cool. If I was mounting this to a gun with a RMR plate, I would have been able to mount it immediately and go to town with it. But unfortunately, I wanted to put this on my Hellcat just because it was a gun that I carry pretty often and I wanted to get a really solid optic on here. So I thought this combination would be really good. So I went with the CHPWS filler plate and I really like this combination a lot. But it is cool to see that Holosun is just providing that mounting plate so you don't have to worry about finding one or finding the right one. They just send the one that you need to use and you can mount it directly once you receive it. So normally this is the part of the video where I talk about the cons, but really I can't find many with this. Honestly, I can't find any. I think this is a really solid optic. I think Holosun has a really good design. After testing the 509, I already know that they're closed emitters and the style is really durable and strong and works very well. I like their reticles. I like their battery trays. The battery life is fantastic. The price is even good. I mean, $330 for an optic like this that is this good, or up to $450. I think that's right there with the competition. It's actually lower than the competition in my mind. So I think Holosun's doing some really good things. The only thing that's holding them back, and the only thing I've ever heard people really complain about is they're like, they're not US made. I'm not gonna put a non-US made optic on my gun. And I respect that. If you guys want to be, I'm just gonna buy US stuff. Again, I respect that. If that's what you wanna do, then more power to you. But Holosun is really putting out some really good stuff and for a really good price. They're putting a lot of features in these. They listen to the customer base when we tell them, hey, this is what we want or what we don't want. I think they did a really good job with this, and I think a lot of people are going to go with this. Now, I'm going to be testing the EPS carry here soon. I think the EPS carry is going to be more popular than this. I think the EPS is going to be kind of like a forgotten middle child, just because the 509 is really good for your full size. The EPS carry is really good for your guns like this size. I personally like this just because it does have that field of view. It's a little bit larger, so it's not as small as the EPS carry, but I think aesthetically wise, some people aren't gonna like the fact that it hangs over just a little bit. Me personally, I would rather just have the function over what it looks like. I mean, looks are important, I understand that, but the function of the product is more important. So those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you guys think if you have seen this or used this. I'm really curious to see what everyone thinks, and I think this is gonna be something that a lot of people are gonna be switching to. If you guys wanna help out the channel and the things I do here, there's a couple ways to do that. that, there is a link down in the description that goes to my website, and there are also some discount codes from companies that I trust. A couple of companies that support me and the things I do here are Howitzer and Brownells. Howitzer is a fantastic clothing brand. Wear their stuff all the time, and I love the stuff they do. They have Project Blue Line you guys can take a look at if you're LE, and get free training, and they donate a ton of money to charity, which is so cool. Also, Brownells is a fantastic company that helps supply a lot of products for me to do reviews, and just supports me in the things I do, which I greatly appreciate them for that. So check them out. You can also use my discount code for them to save on orders over $150, and that does help out support my channel. So those things help out, and I thank you guys so much. If you guys are curious about a comparison between this and the EPS carry and the 509, let me know. I'll do a video once I get the EPS carry. Those are kind of back ordered, but I'm going to buy one as soon as I can to get a review on that, because I think that's going to be a cool one as well. So if you guys are really interested in that, or maybe one or the other, let me know, and I will try to get that video as soon as possible and compare all of them and answer all of your questions that you have. Put them down in the comments, and I'm happy to help. Thank you guys so much, and I appreciate you all.